You've cut off the only man who controls your backup water, darling. That's not just foolish, it's a death wish in this heat, I muttered, chuckling darkly as I hung up the old rotary phone. The kitchen tap mocked me with a dry sputter. No water, no life, just dust and defiance. Outside, the Nevada sun scorched the hills like it had a vendetta. My name's Jake Ramsey, a weathered rancher who's tamed this land for 40 years, and I didn't need coffee to wake me today. The HOA next door, led by a tyrant named Maureen Blake, had severed my waterline. They were about to learn they'd crossed the wrong man. 2 weeks earlier, Maureen had strutted onto my property, clipboard in hand, her oversized sunglasses perched like she was starring in a cheap drama. She pointed a manicured finger at the PVC pipes running under my fence, part of the irrigation system I'd built before her precious HOA existed. "This is unauthorized," she snapped, scribbling notes like she was issuing a death sentence. I explained, with the patience of a monk, that my land wasn't under her control. She smirked, unfazed, and left. I thought she was all talk. Then my faucet ran dry, and I found the pipe sliced clean, marked with a city utility flag. Maureen had reported me for illegal tapping, and the city, too spineless to check records, cut me off. My goats bleated in the pen, my fields withered, and fury burned in my chest. I crossed the dusty pasture to an old shed, its wood warped by decades of sun. Behind it, hidden under a rusted gate, was a trapdoor. I unlocked it, descended a creaky ladder, and flicked on a generator. The air was cool, metallic. Years ago, during a brutal drought, I'd installed a private pressure tank, a secret lifeline feeding my land, and, unbeknownst to the HOA, their emergency water lines. The gauge glowed, half full. I grinned. Maureen thought she'd won by cutting my main line, but she'd handed me her neighborhood's fate. I shut off the master valve, locking their backup supply. Let's see who's thirsty now, I thought, climbing out and brushing off my jeans. I dragged a lawn chair to the fence line facing Maureen's street, poured bottled lemonade, and settled in with binoculars. Across the road, Maureen stood in her pristine yard, yelling into her phone as her sprinklers coughed. Her neighbors' lawns browned, their flower beds sagged. A delivery guy gestured at her wilted roses. She slammed the door in his face. I sipped my drink, my goats nosing for a taste. The HOA's emergency system should have kicked in, but I'd made sure it wouldn't. Maureen's world was about to dry up. By morning, her cul-de-sac was a tinderbox. Neighbors clustered, hoses limp, faucets hissing air. A retired teacher, Mr. Wallace, waved a dripping nozzle at Maureen, demanding answers. She forced a smile, blaming the city, but her voice cracked. The backup tank, my tank, was dry, and she knew I was behind it. Her eyes flicked to my lush green yard, sprinklers dancing. She stormed over, heels grinding gravel. "You're endangering lives, Jake," she shrieked. I leaned back, lemonade in hand. "You cut my water, Maureen." Filed a false report. Triggered a review. Guess what? That backup tank you rely on? Mine. Always has been. Her jaw dropped. "You shut it off legally," I added, "and I can keep it off." She sputtered and fled. I'd spent the previous day at the county records office, armed with muffins and charm. I pulled deeds, blueprints, and permits proving the tank was mine, installed before the HOA was born. The clerk, impressed, certified my ownership. I mailed a copy to the HOA's legal office, highlighting my name on the schematics, Jacob T. Ramsey. Maureen's bulletin, accusing an unnamed neighbor of sabotage, hit mailboxes that day, pure theater, with phrases like reckless endangerment and pending prosecution. The neighborhood chat erupted with confusion. Some demanded water, others sniffed her lies. I let the truth fester. Maureen called an emergency HOA meeting, but her control was crumbling. Only a dozen showed up, most to confront her. She rambled about old pipes until I walked in, silent, and dropped a folder on her podium. A realtor, Emily, opened it, her face paling as she read aloud. Emergency reservoir, property of Jacob Ramsey, predating the HOA. The room exploded. You cut his water and killed ours, a man yelled. Maureen stammered about an oversight. I spoke, voice low. You didn't ask. You assumed. Then you lied. Slow. Mocking applause broke out. Maureen grabbed her notes and bolted, the door slamming. That night, a letter arrived from the HOA board, minus Maureen, proposing a contract for shared tank access with compensation and legal protections. A handwritten note pleaded, "Don't let her ruin us." I smiled. Progress. I'd meet them, but on my terms. The next day, the city announced mainline maintenance. Perfect timing. Without my tank, the HOA was parched. Lawns crunched, goldfish ponds died, and Maureen's porch became a complaint hub. Then, smoke rose beyond the sagebrush, a brush fire, hungry and close. A fire truck roared in, hooked to an HOA hydrant, and got nothing. The crew looked stunned. I waved from my gate, opened it, and let them tap my spigot. Water surged, strong and steady. They contained the blaze, saving homes. Neighbors gaped as Maureen watched, frozen, from her driveway. A photo hit the chat. Jake saved us. Her reign was done. The HOA's report confirmed the hydrant failure, blaming Maureen's meddling. Comments raged, "She'll get us killed." Emily led a new meeting, passing a contract for my tank, unanimous. We signed on my porch, sealing trust. But Maureen wasn't finished. She filed a baseless easement claim, challenging my ownership. I dug into old trail cam footage, striking gold, her landscaper, weeks earlier, cutting my pipe under her orders. I sent it to the sheriff and HOA. The fallout was swift. The board disavowed her. Residents called her a water thief. A reporter interviewed me, and the story ran, "Rancher's tank saves suburb." Maureen's lies unraveled. Late one night, my cameras caught her and the landscaper rigging a bypass to steal water. I called the sheriff, who filed charges for trespassing and theft. The HOA voted her out, 30-0, erasing her from their records. Neighbors brought locks and sensors, fortifying my system. At a community picnic, Emily gave me a plaque for providing when others wouldn't. I nodded, said little, and sat back with my tea. Maureen's house went dark, her sprinklers dead. She was served, her landscaper gone. A week later, her SUV crept up my drive. Maureen stepped out, gaunt, clutching an envelope. "I don't deserve forgiveness," she whispered, handing me an apology and a check for damages. "I just want peace." I took it, not for the money, but to end the fight. "You staying?" I asked. She shook her head. Too many eyes. She drove off, defeated. The HOA reformed, lawns greened, and neighbors waved freely. I added a sign to my gate. Private water. Ask nicely. Peace returned, but I checked my valves daily. Maureen learned the hard way. Control crumbles when you cross a man who holds the flow. As I sat by my humming pump, goats snoring nearby, the stars gleamed. The land was mine. The water was mine,